the toilet seat conspiracy. So many people care about shit. Yeah. So let me tell you a story before we start. One of my friends, he moved into a new house, I think about a couple of months ago, 6 months, 7 months. And he was wanting to create everything smart. I want everything on the fly, everything through my phone. Yeah, smart, smart, smart. Everything around me, smart. I don't want to go and press the button. I walk in, magic happens. So those kind of things. And so he's into finance. He works with the finance giant, not very techy. He calls me, Param, I need your help, and this is what I want to do. I said, okay, let's create a wish list. All the things you want as smart, except you in the house. And then we will see how does it come together. And he sort of created a massive list: smart fridge, washing machine, locks, other stuff, lights, security cameras. I think probably everything which we can think of. I told him, get it, have it installed wherever you want it. Do not enable or the smartness of the device. Just keep it like that. Keep it dumb. And he ordered a smart toilet. Yeah, a very complicated device. And an engineer comes in, fits it, enables it, configures it, all said and done. Now in this house, he lives with a couple of dumb devices and a smart toilet. Top of the line. It does everything for him. That's what he told me. It has a Bluetooth speaker. No, it has an inbuilt speaker making the sound of ocean. It had an automatic diffuser and a couple of other things which I can't remember. We'll come to it anyway. And so he calls me, I think about a month after, when he sort of started settling in, when he thought we were ready and we had plans. Okay, I'll come and then we'll spend a weekend drinking and then do a lot of these smart devices enablement and things like those, and the other good stuff. And he suddenly calls me, I think, if I remember well, I think it was Wednesday morning, and he's like, bro. I was like, oh, what happened? And he's like, my toilet is telling me something. And I'm like, so what the hell happened? And he's like, oh yeah, it's telling me you haven't sat in a while. Are you okay? And I'm like, okay. And then he's like, and it's sending me notifications endlessly. And it's telling me, you seem stressed. Do you want a lavender mode on? And I'm like, okay, hang on, forget about everything. What the hell is lavender mode? That's what I'm interested in. But anyway, long story short, so I landed in his house. It turned out to be that when it was configured, when you get a new app and you sort of go on, configure it, and at some point it asks you, just 1 second, yeah, put the timer on. Do you accept this? Enable your location, whatsoever, blah, blah, blah. I want your camera, I want your microphone, yeah? And we just go on, accepting everything. So it was syncing with his smartwatch. How many of us here having any kind of this smart tech on their wrists, including me? Okay, all right. So it was syncing with his smartwatch and the health app, and then a couple of other apps. So he's tracking his walk, run, things like those. It also tried to send a message through his wellness app, and I think it was something, I can't remember very well. Yeah, it said, relaxation session complete. Yeah. Hydration below optimal, with the toilet emoji next to it. Thankfully, we were saved from there because the some part of it was not working well. The first thing I told him, okay, you go and switch off all the buttons next to the toilet or whatever you can find, yeah, and then turn all the Bluetooth Wi-Fi off in the house, and then we'll get to it. So he thankfully did it. I would imagine that probably it could have sent the message on his wellness app where he had whatever his wellness group, and everybody would know. Shit really happened. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, our focus here isn't just on toilet seats. Yeah, even though we can spend that building new stories and more interesting things about toilet seats, smart toilet seats, but eventually, yeah, the focus probably will go slightly wider after the toilet seats. You must have learned by now it's just an attention grabber, isn't it? Right? So saying that, this is my humble attempt to show the simplest way possible that when it comes to smart devices, shit does happen, like the locks, right? So yes, my name is Param. I work with Vodafone, and there's a team called Secure by Design. I'm one of the lead architects. I spent most of life working into solutioning, probably for the last 25 years. I moved into cyber in 2008, no, not 2008, 2018, I think. So it's a 7 to 8 years journey in cyber. I had the opportunity to, like Rebecca said in the morning, if any of you joined her session, I had a lot of opportunities to learn different technologies. So I worked with Microsoft. I'm a certified architect for AWS, Google. I worked on other clouds, Salesforce, Oracle, probably you name it, and I must have had some experience on it. I worked with security architecture previous to this role, where a lot of frameworks, high-level strategies, designs, and those kind of things. In my current profile, my focus is on Vodafone Business, creating center of excellence for cyber services, building the strategies, assessing products, if they are good enough to launch. So basically, we try to conclude how good the product or the service is in order to launch it in the market. And if you go that way, then what kind of deficiencies are there? What kind of improvements you could make? So the lock guys, they should hire one of us. So we would tell them where the problem is, and then we'll have these guys to help them testing. So that's the kind of thing what I do as of now. With my friend, it was a true story, by the way, and it didn't end there. Even though he switched off everything he knew in the house, Bluetooth, so Wi-Fi, or whatsoever, it still kept sending him messages for the next, I think, 2 days or whatsoever. All the help he could grab from the company of the smart toilet, They were 24/7, but then it didn't work very well. So it kept sending him some more funny messages, like 3 o'clock in the morning. Are you okay? We haven't seen you. We're still missing you. Whatever, yeah, all that kind of stuff. So in this course, he also figured out that whenever he sat down, his heart rate increased. So there are good things about this. Okay, so it's not only shit, but there are good things around these smart technology, smart things, and that's what this line is. So my tagline is, when the things around you know too much, right? So, I mean, at some point, I think during the conversation, I would like to sort of have your opinion. I think your young generation here, the different perspective, more risk appetite, those kind of things. So probably you'll have absolutely a fantastic and different opinion. The question, I think, here is, as I said, right, so everything around is smart. What happens when they get smarter than you? Anybody wants to say something on this question? Any views? I mean, it's okay. I mean, this is not an exam that somebody will fail or pass, but then, come on. I'll buy you a coffee after this.
I swear we don't bite, you know.
Okay. Nobody? Oh, shy people.
Okay, hashtag metadata.
Okay.
There's something for you to chew on.
I think the problem is that it's just dealing with data. So it has no idea, you know, your smart toilet example, it has no idea if you've got dysentery or just had a massive toilet. and that's the challenge, right? How do you teach a self-driving car what is a toddler? Because a toddler isn't just a smaller human, it's got behaviour patterns and stupidity all rolled into that way. And this is the thing, when we say it's too smart, I think we sometimes make the mistake of thinking that it processes data really quickly and harvests a lot of data. And we misinterpret that as having the potential for understanding.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of things you said brilliantly. Once it's harvests data, behavior patterns, and it really becomes really, really smarter than you to beat you from every perspective you cannot imagine if it gets there, right? I mean, I sometimes say, and it sort of sounds rude, that everything around us is smart except us. Smartphones, smart locks, smart whatever, except us. So we really need to get into that race of, be there. So, I mean, if you look at a slightly broader picture, it's just a IoT, right? Internet of Things. So what is IoT? Is all these devices which are connected, which are collecting data, exchanging data at some point. So you've got smart TVs, refrigerators, all fancy stuff. My favorite one is mood sensing aroma diffuser. Ooh, luxury. Stop thinking. I know where you're going. So it's not a science fiction, right? It's just everything is around us. We're playing with them every now and then. We've got fitness trackers on the phone. How much am I walking? How much am I eating? What am I eating? Right? Is that right to say? You're also telling them, oh, I'm eating this. At what time are we eating? So it's basically creating a pattern of your eating habits. Any application with the prefix of smart is probably doing the same thing to us. Lots of data, lots of sensors, lots of those kind of stuff. So definitely, it's not only bad things. So there's a lot of good stuff here. There is a lot of convenience, right? Everybody likes convenience.
You miss for smart kettles, have they gone out of fashion?
Sorry?
You miss for smart kettles, have they gone out of fashion?
Oh yeah, we'll come to that as well. So yeah, so there are some goodness, there is a goodness, right? So convenience, as I said, I want to lose weight, but I don't want to run. I want to do it conveniently. So efforts, saving, efficiency. Your fridge is telling you, mate, you're running out of protein. Go and grab some eggs. I can do it for you. And he then is sort of integrated with some of the grocery applications and then starts buying stuff on your behalf. Because it knows what you eat, when you eat, and how much you eat. But there is a goodness as well, right? So you look at that. Entertainment. TV that recommends show based on your mood. Yeah? You start one song on the YouTube and it creates a playlist in less than 23 microseconds. Isn't it? It knows where you're going. Okay, you are in a romantic mood today, so let's play Roxette. Yeah? Or you're going to party today. Okay, so let's play Ibiza 2025, whatsoever. Yeah? Security, cameras, alarms. Somebody walks up to your main door, the light pops up. Wherever you are, you get to know somebody's standing outside, alerts you of any suspicious behavior, somebody walking through. Yeah? And all these things, they are somehow connected somewhere. And you're always wanting to see these things when you're not around. I am traveling on holiday, but I still want to see who's standing outside my garage, who's in my driveway. The postman came and then delivered something, whatsoever, whatever it is. So, but you do get to know, I mean, so sort of it keeps you connected to a great extent, no matter where you are. All you need is some sort of network. Yeah? Health is my favorite. It always tells me you're not sleeping well, no matter how much I'm sleeping. I'm crashed through this Saturday night, dragged 4 a.m. in the morning, and waking up Sunday night, it will still tell me, oh, you're not sleeping well. No, mate. Get down into your bed. Sleep. Yeah. So, and health is fantastic, right? So this thing does a lot of many other things. When I bought my first Apple Watch, I think whatever, Gen 1 whatsoever, I had no clue that what I'm going to do with this watch. But then I popped on, that's what all the applications, oh wow, this. I started tracking everything. I started tracking how much am I walking fast? Yeah. So all that kind of fancy stuff. And slowly, and I think I upgraded myself. So I like my toys every year. They'll come with the new whatever. I never cared what's there, but then I just kept buying them. Everything is enabled on this. And I know more now, fancy those. It's just a center of notification for me. I pop this, mute, those kind of things. And I think it's a normal user behavior. We stop living with these things at some point in time. I mean, if you do that, really, really good. And I think that's the crux of this conversation, right? That you need to be continuing that awareness, right? That what have you stepped into? Not just buying, it looks nice on my wrist, and those kind of mistakes. I mean, definitely it's a good fashion accessory and things like those, but then still. And then we've been talking about there is a dark side to it, right? And that's the message I think I am trying to convey with today's topic. Every connected device is a potential access point. In my last 25 years of experience of, I think when I started working back in 2000, and I got sort of introduced to technology, and I've seen the technology evolution in a way that probably many of you may not have seen, because you come from a very younger generation, so you were born in the age of iPhones, no buttons on the phone. And I've, yeah. and I've seen many other things as well, right? So the phones with the dial pads, and then it came a digital dial pad, those kind of things. So you probably have seen much more because you're a different generation, but then when I say much more means physically the evolution happened in technology. That probably is the missing part here. So anyway, sometimes I get emotional and then get into derail very quickly. So every connected device is a potential access point. So what I was trying to tell you is that in my experience, all these years, I've seen people wanting to have smart homes and smart refrigerators and these things. They have one Wi-Fi connection at home. Everything is connected to the same with the default password, and all the other settings is a default. So imagine how many access points we're creating. It's like you're designing a house which essentially needs some doors and windows. So there must be a front door, there must be a back door if you have a backyard, there must be some windows to get the sunlight or air out. Imagine if you have a house which is bloody full of windows and doors. You would never say, okay, you would never agree to that, oh, what kind of rubbish architectural design this is. Why would I want so many windows and so many doors? It makes no sense. But exactly that is what we are doing with the technology around us. So, and then that's what we need to learn. So at some point, this evolution of technology, this love with the things around us, technology and smart things starts to become vulnerable, right? So your convenience is turning into, from the convenience, efficiency, effortless, into something dark, right? So that's the point. And pretty much everything which we call smart is probably listening or watching or reporting. So in the sense, they are collecting some data, right? Now, what data is collecting? It depends upon the device, right? So if you have a washing machine, it will create some patterns that, okay, you're putting your clothes to wash after 6 p.m. every day, or only on the Fridays or Saturdays and things like those, yeah? So those kind of patterns it develops. How many times? I've given some examples here, and then we'll jump to these examples. So smart tech gone rogue. So there have been some popular incidents in the previous years which has happened around IoT devices. I think somebody mentioned Tesla here, self-driven car. I think there was a popular one there as well, right? So that all the Tesla car got locked. People sitting inside couldn't do anything. You can't start, you can't run, you can't open a window. So just sitting inside, getting locked, and somebody else is controlling it, right? There are many movies around these, I think, the future of whatsoever, and then in 2050 somebody's driving a car, probably sleeping. I mean, I think eventually, if it really happens, then probably you will not need national identities. We will not need driving licenses and these kind of things. Everything will happen just on its own.
Minority Report.
Yeah, and probably one day we are not needed as well. So yeah, I think that's extreme. Oops. Oh. Yes. So data gold mine. I mean, this is what I've been talking about, right? So it tracks lots of data. It's recording lots of stuff, what you're saying, what you're doing, your daily habits, locations, where have you been, where are you going. If you ever try to Google, I want to go on holiday, and then it will show you something you can go to. The first thing it usually asks you, allow location, turn on the location so that I can look where you are, so that I can suggest you some destinations. If you click on allow, then it will start showing you, something like within 5 hours flights range. You can go to Turkey, you can go to Germany, or somewhere in Europe. Those kind of options. And then you start filtering it out. Oh, no, I want little sun. Oh, no, let's have a beach as well. And then slowly you will see that you are no more a driver of your holiday decision. It starts telling you, oh, no, Turkey is no good. You go to Morocco. It is more cheap. Or you got more sun. Oh, the food is fantastic. All kind of those things. And if you have this whole thing as an integrated with each other, probably it will tell you everything. In Morocco, you can eat this, high on protein, low on calorie, because that's what you've been eating every day, right? It will tell you some other things, and eventually it will give you a very strong indicator of, let me tell you, where should you go? So that's what really happens based on this gold mine of data they're collecting, right? So, purchase behavior, right? So I think that was, if you keep buying whatever, and then it creates that kind of pattern as well. You are upset and you bought something. It'll try to create that matching pattern. Okay, so every time you're getting upset, you're buying stuff. It starts to give you these fancy advertisements whenever you start to go into that kind of a mood. Yeah, because there's a mood sensor as well. So your enablement of these devices, to what extent is where you're ticking the marks off, take this from me and take this from me, or this from me. Somebody very wise also said once that probably Google knows you much better than you know yourself, right? And I think it's sort of getting true to some extent. I mean, that's my personal feeling, but then, and I could be wrong. And I would want to have a conversation about it if somebody wants to sort of enlighten me on this one, yeah? So we sort of covered a bit of a why, the targeted ads, right? It looks into the data it's been collecting from you, and then it'll give you advertisement, what kind of movies you've been watching every weekend on the Netflix or Prime or whatsoever the other platforms, and then it sort of starts offering you similar stuff. You should buy this. It's a new release. It's good for a weekend. So that kind of stuff. Selling insights to third parties. So data is being exchanged or shared across different platforms. Netflix is sharing also the same, your taste of kind of OTTs and movies you've been watching with Amazon Prime, and then you start seeing those advertisements coming from Prime as well. Yeah. When you Googled the holiday thingy on your browser, no matter which platform you go on, no matter what application you go on, you'll still see these adverts of holiday destinations. You can notice that probably, some of you may have definitely done it, but you can do that next time when you do the similar thing. Or even if you buy something, right? So if you want to buy a smartphone, No matter which application you go to on your phone, open your phone, open your browser on the internet, on a different machine, you will still see those adverts coming in. You ask Alexa something, you'll see those things reflecting somewhere or somehow on any other device or any other application. So that's what happens. So it's not only, if I only have a refrigerator, I would start to think, okay, yeah, this is what's collecting, so yeah, it's okay. He knows I'm eating egg. What's a big deal? But then your data must be, or could be used by somebody else, somewhere else, and that's why this thing is that the question isn't if your data is being used. The question is how it's used and by whom it's used. That's the key point. Social media. I am not very educated on social media, so I have no LinkedIn. I have no Facebook or Instagram profile. I'm on LinkedIn though. I want to. I want to create my Insta account. It's just that I think I'm being too lazy, but at some point, I will. I think it's also a need, right? You don't exist. So if I don't have Insta or Facebook, I don't exist for some of my, you can't call them friends, but then some of the people around you, some of the people you want to be in contact with, this is the only way to stay in touch with them. So, yeah. So social media is a hyper surveillance, right? Because this is where you are, I think, spending your days, right? Is that what happens? What do you call fast filtering? That term, right? That term is called fast filtering, right? So you're just swiping up all the time, looking through shorts and those kind of similar stuff, and then something interesting comes in, and then you watch that. So some examples here. Your fridge is tweeting when it's empty, your fitness tracker, sharing your workout, camera is uploading photos for your convenience. The more you share, more we expose. This one is very nice, right? So people go viral for yelling at their toaster because it burned the bread, probably. It was a smart toaster. So really, I think you need to think that who else is watching, who else is looking at you. So a bit of a replay. So I think what we've been talking about, our favorite topic, the toilet seat thingy, right? But one day a smart toilet sends a status update to Twitter, hydration level low, drink more water. You become a good point of amongst your friends to be a laughter. Your wellness brand is DMs you, and you get an adult for the adult diapers. And so basically, you are losing control of the real narrative behind it, right? So you're sort of being driven by things around you and not by yourself. And I think, and that's when you sort of start to lose time. And if you look underneath, these are very, very basic things, right? So as I said earlier, if you go out, you always lock your house. Probably with a better lock, something you can trust on. When you're driving on the highway, you are always trying to be compliant with the speed and the lane discipline or whatsoever. These things are very similar, right? So these are basic principles. So if you have your Wi-Fi at home, change the passwords, protect yourself. If you've got these too much of smart thingies, if you can afford, you probably have two different service providers. So one for these kind of stuff, and then one where you really do some other good stuff, like you're buying stuff, payment gateways and things like those. Disable unnecessary sharing feature. Every time you go to the browser or you pop a new browser, a new window, you don't need to say allow all the time to the location or similar thing, right? So these are very, very basic principles, and I think the fundamental way of protecting yourself, falling into these kind of conspiracy where your things are taking control outside your hands. Keep your devices patched, updated, firmware updates and those kind of stuff. It's difficult, the last one, read the fine print, who owns your data. There are lots of regulations for every organization who are manufacturing these or creating these kind of devices in terms of how the data will be collected, where it will be shared, how long they can keep the data if you delete your account and things like those. It's just good to know, I think, some level of information. It depends, as I said, when we started, I said, you guys are very, very young, right? So you have a high risk appetite. Probably, I may care what I'm buying on the Amazon. Probably some of you may not think of it, or it doesn't matter. So those kind of things. So that's why, it's just always good to know that how your data is being used by who and things. Always. And it's really time to think. It just doesn't end on these smart refrigerators and the devices around you, right? It's a much, much bigger picture. Smart home is just a starting point. We are having now smart cities. We'll have smart towns, smart countries, and things like those, borderless, boundaryless things. Right? Data becomes a common tool, common exploitation. It already has become. But then think from a very, very broad perspective. It's just not one device or two devices. No matter what you get, you end up getting connected to something or somewhere. I mean, I also want to say that you can't really control it to some extent, but I think you need to be aware is what is very important, right? You can't survive without having a smartphone or whatsoever, but then you also need to be careful what applications are there, how these applications are, peeping into your personal life or those kind of stuff. AI-powered public surveillances, we already have them, speed cameras at the signals. You cross the red signal and then ticket comes in, it tracks your car, registration number and things like those.
It's even worse in New York.
Oh, yeah.
From where it came from.
Exactly. Yeah, I think some countries also have started the passport control works on your face recognition. You don't need to show them the passport, you just walk through and they know who you are. Ridiculously amazing, isn't it? Right? Nobody's there to ask you, hey, who are you? What are you doing here? How many days you'll stay here? Show me your insurance. Show me your return ticket. You just walk through. So the toilet seat conspiracies is just a metaphor, and so there's, as I said, I think we've been repeatedly saying that several things, everything around you. Your toaster isn't evil yet. Right? I think David touched on the smart kettle thing as well. I'm back-to-back calls in the morning and I just want to run and have my coffee or brown water, tea, green tea, whatsoever. Yeah, press the button from my smartwatch and it's ready before I shift between the different calls. So it's just very fancy, it's very fascinating, but also, awareness, I think, will not harm you if you know that how it's costing you. So don't turn blind to these things. Don't turn reckless or it's okay. You can't stop it. You can't control it. We need to sort of grow out. And I think people here You guys are sort of who will set this stream outside when you go outside in the world, right? You are cyber guys. You know the rules. People will expect from you when you'll go and join somewhere working. I mean, sorry, I forgot the brilliant guys' names. They will go and tell the world, right? These locks are what? Scrap. Is that the word we used? Crap, whatever.
Yeah,
right? Don't buy them. If we didn't have them, probably we would not know. These smart locks are not bloody smart anymore. They're full of shit, like the toilet. Smart toilet, sorry. Yeah, so convenience has a cost. It does. It makes you fat. Not by the weight, by every other possibility, right? And awareness is sort of trying to save you from all this havoc or chaos and, you know, the dark side. Okay, do we have more? Oh. So some facts, just a couple of examples I tried to put here. I mean, I couldn't, so there are some, so you probably will notice, oh, only 2021. What happened after 2021? Has the world become safe? Oh, no. When at my work, when we get these lot of new applications being launched and service designed and things, and people always asking me, there are no risks here? It's fantastic. Let's go and launch it. And I said, no, that never happens. There is always a risk, whether we know it or not. Yeah? Not having a risk is a myth. There is always a risk. It can be calculatively rated or scored in some way, low risk, medium risk, high risk, but there is always a risk. There is always a deficiency to, you know, do some sort of improvement. Security incidents spiked from about 32 million over 112 million. And the data isn't latest, it's 2018. And I think the latest was last year, 2023 and 2024. Malware or around only IoT stuff spiked to about 82%. So you can imagine that people actively looking to get into your personal life through these smart devices. And how easy is it? They showed us, right? They don't need your password. There are other ways which we don't know they can get in. Yeah, so some of these, so you've got Jeep, Cherokee hack, Mini botnet we talked about, Tesla thingy some time back. They also showcased this smart lock thing. So there are plenty eye openers around us. If you really try to sort of learn that way. Still awake? Yeah. So I think that's about it. IoT, Internet of Things, smart things around us. I think the point for us is as things around us becoming more and more smart and smarter, we must become more savvier in order to sort of speed up ourselves. Right? Otherwise, if you're left behind, then I don't know what can happen. But then really, any questions? Yes.
I was going to ask, so with some of this stuff, so IoT in generally, Do you think that having it, like as us guys as cybersecurity within the field itself, do you think there should be more emphasis on the narrative towards just your common man? Every single person should know generally what the risks attributed to what these smart devices should be. Because as good as it is preaching to the choir with this sort of stuff, it's good for us to be aware. But you think, like for me, say my family, some of them have like smart, what's called smart sockets to control certain things, so lamps and things. They get paranoid sometimes when they're away from home and they want to turn on the lights to make sure that it looks like they're at home. You know, if it's as simple as things like that, obviously there's less risk involved. There's obviously no risk, but generally speaking, to your common person, I don't think they're going to attribute the same risk that they do as saying with like accepting cookies online or signing up to the terms of service of things. So how do we then bridge that gap between knowledge from us and people generally, you know, your common person?
The education piece.
It's a very wide perspective. When it comes to cyber or security, it doesn't end on one thing. There is no one solution, or there's not one magic wand that will fix it. I always say this: a cyber, do not try to relate it to one technology. It's not a piece of a technology. It's not an evolution of technology. It's a mindset. It's a culture. And the biggest challenge, it's a very good question, because the biggest challenge is that when it comes to a layman, when it comes to a common man, we're looking at a huge generational gap. There are people who are, you know, really old, elderly people, who were just given the smart devices on some of the Mother's Day and the Father's Day, and, you know. And then we have, people really young who are born into this era of smartness, right? So, and if you try to relate it to the corporate world and your personal life, I think the challenge is pretty much the same as awareness and education. Essentially, in my humble opinion, every government across globally, they should come up with some sort of education element for all the people, that they should know some basic stuff. The basic stuff, I think, the classic example is internet is in every house. The default password must be changed. Yeah, those kind of things. Your phone must have some sort of encryption, whether it is a PIN, whether it is your face, or whatsoever. If you're installing, as you said, right, so even in my home, right, so I go home and then I say, okay, oh yeah, I'll put here, you know, the smart light. So if you go out in the dark in the backyard, you can just turn it on. You don't need to go out, you can look through the security camera and things like those. But then, let me give you another example, sorry. Yeah? So just next to my house, there is this care home, very elderly people there. I sometimes just go there, have a stroll and talk to these old people. And many of them, I ask them, so what's the problem? And then they will usually come up with on the phone and then give the phone to me. Oh, it's on this is not working. And what I've seen usually is somebody asks you, oh, the FaceTime, so you'll get your parents on the FaceTime, or your grandparents, or somebody who doesn't know technology, layman, common man, what we call, let's put it that way. We are only telling them the positive side of it. By using WhatsApp, FaceTime, you can call this. But we never tell them that if you should lock it. We give them the smartphone, but then we never tell them it must be password protected, or, you know, you can use these features. So I think all of us here, I mean, even you guys as cyber students, or the future generation of the nation or the global, contribute to the people around you, create awareness, contribute to the education as much. If you go into the corporate world, every company nowadays, when you onboard into a company, they will give you a certain training, code of conduct, You must not do this. Yeah, don't swipe your card here and let the person behind you come in on the same. Oh, no, 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 no. It's the same thing outside in your house as well, right? It's just that we are being a bit more conscious. So similarly, I mean, our education system and any other system, they must create some sort of elements, essential elements, which then create that kind of awareness into people so that they know a bit of a flavor of technology and the cyber and how the risks and what kind of risks are enabled. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you. I was going to have another question as well, just in case we've got time.
So go on.
I was going to say as well, do you think government should also mandate the amount of data that companies should be allowed to collect equally too? Because the more that you think about it now, the more that data is being processed by different companies to gather your attention or to gather characteristics about you, and then on top of that, if it's being optimized by algorithms that are just being purely designed to optimize that data, we're only going to become more and more stuck within the loop in that sense, within being more and more forced into the algorithm based on psychological behaviors, whatever else. So from that perspective, even though it doesn't relate really to IoT, but just generally within cyber, do you think there should be more that government should do generally towards preventing that from happening and being more secure about it in terms of what you can give over and what companies are allowed to collect and what they're able to distribute to?
So there are, I think, the problem here is there are two things here. So the technology is evolving every second. People are actively working on their products and services, and everybody wants to make them more nicer, fancier, full of features and things. I mean, we started with just a smart toilet, but if you look closely, it's a smart toilet. It had a inbuilt speaker, aroma diffuser, heat whatsoever, temperature adjustments and kind of those things, light, ambient light, and all kind of fancy stuff. But then on the other side, the security controls around it, education awareness around it, all those kind of things, they are far away from it. So what I'm trying to say is, I think we need to speed up from this perspective where the security controls compliance is given the similar importance, is looked at critically as the technology is evolving, and that's the only way to control it. So IoT has been into the picture, I think, for last, I would say, I think probably 20 years, but then started becoming popular more around 2015 or 2014, when people really started buying these stuff, and then sort of expansion of IoT, But then the regulation around IoT just started coming in about a few years ago, and we still have a huge gap in terms of the regulation and the controls around IoT devices. So, and the same challenge we have with this AI and machine learning, right? So AI everywhere. It's a buzzword. Every service, every product, every tool in the market wants to say, our product, it has AI intelligence. Oh, wow. And nobody knows what's happening in the background. And I'm really, really being very harsh on it. It's just a buzzword still. I mean, people really need to sort of, look at the more positive or the better side of AI, what it can do. But then it's just become a sales pitch, right? I'm selling this bottle, it has AI. So I think the answer is straightforward if I say we need to focus on our security controls and the regulations and policies so that people also, the one who are developing, they are being conscious of, oh, I cannot do that, or I can do that, unless and until there is that kind of prevention, this is very unlikely to be controlled. Yes, sir.
Sorry, just want to ask, so you mentioned the policy and the advocacy part.
Policy and?
You mean the policy and the regulatory part. So
okay.
In IoT or in general in AI. So how do you think they'll fill up this gap? Is it the people currently working in those going to be coming along, or there's like people just in industry or consultants maybe? Like who going to be part of this compliance and reporting?
Let's step out from a technology for a second. You're driving a car on the highway. You would always be looking at the speed signs and then make sure that you are within the speed limit, right? You're giving the turning sign, you're following the lane thingy, looking into mirrors. The policies and regulations, they are pretty much the same thing. So when the product is being designed, they should be aware, they know that how far we can go collecting data, how we can keep this data, and there are harsh penalties on these things, right? So if you drive rogue on the road, your license will get some points, or you may be, forced to some sort of a penalty. Similarly, in the corporate world or in the tech world, they have to follow and they need to be compliant with the regulations and the controls what government has come up with. Yes. Oh, thank you.